You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
You can find us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. We want you guys to help us keep the conversation moving forward. You can do that by supporting the show. You can share it online with your friends and family. Leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasting content from. We're going to leave a couple of links right there in the description so you can do just that. Ryan, happy Monday, my friend.
Happy Monday.
Happy
Big Monday. Tomorrow is election day.
Happy Monday.
Oh.
To you.
Okay. Anyway.
Happy Monday, dear Ryan.
Here comes
Here come the money. Sorry, it's been a late night for my friend here. Did I startle you?
You did.
Sorry about that. Hey, look, here's what I tell you. I'm gonna make it up to you. I'm gonna give you $1 million.
Okay.
$1 million, but every single book that you read, if you get to the end of that book and you want to remember it, you have to fist fight the author. So if you read the Harry Potter books and you get to the end of Sorcerer's Stone,
I have to fist fight JK.
or else you forget the book. So if you're trying to learn something and you read a book, you have to fist fight the author to remember. Now you can just read books and forget instantly as soon as you finish.
Yeah, I think I would take that, because there have been several times that I've gotten to the end of a book, I was like, I wish I could experience this for the first time again.
Oh, but check this out though. Now what happens if you're leading a small group and you're reading a book and when you finish the book you just instantly forget it? And now you got to lead the small group.
Yeah, but
I guess you would lead chapter by chapter.
Yeah, you'd lead chapter by chapter. So it really wouldn't be until the last one you'd be like, guys, I'm blanking. I have no idea what we're talking about. Can somebody catch me up on the past 8 weeks? Because I'm gone.
Maybe you do that. Maybe you spin it in a way where he's like, I want to hear y'all's thoughts. What was y'all's thoughts on the book?
Why don't you recap for me?
I've been teaching this Bible study for 12
weeks. Pretend I don't know, because I don't.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
I think.
Would you take it?
Yeah, I think I would.
Would you fist fight Agatha Christie?
Well, she's dead. So I guess I would go
that's
to
probably a win.
Maybe I would go to her grave and just fist fight
punch the headstone real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would take it.
I don't know how we even work with dead people. I found this one online, but I think I would do it.
Yeah, I think I'd take it.
I think I would do it as well.
It might be a little like, you might have some snafus, like you were saying about the small group thing. You might have some things to work out, but overall, I mean, I feel like you come out in the positive there.
Here's the thing about Dr. Shah. Dr. Shah reads a lot. And he's not reading for funsies. He's reading to learn.
Right.
So my question is, I don't even know how scholarly works work. Like, I don't think you pick up like a commentary and just start at chapter 1 and just read all the way through.
I don't know that he's reading like straight through a chapter by chapter of a biblical, like,
you might could
textual criticism work.
Yeah.
I think we can spin it. I think we can spin this in the positive.
Yeah. And so is it spin it in the positive in the sense that I'm going to take this and just be okay with forgetting, or is it like I will track this author down and fist fight him?
Either one. Because think about it, I mean, if you're reading a work that opposes views of your own, then you get to fight somebody who disagrees with you.
There's nothing that settles a disagreement like violence.
I'm calling that a win. And you get $1 million? I'm calling that a win. So, happy Monday to me indeed.
Also, like, I read a lot of fantasy. Like, I read a lot of Brandon Sanderson. I could totally take Brandon Sanderson on a fight. Like,
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, some of these authors, I don't see them lasting long in the ring.
Yeah, like a lot of them, a lot of fantasy and sci-fi authors, I feel like I could certainly
100%.
take.
100%.
Like even if he were alive, J.R.R. Tolkien, like, I'm sorry, I love you, sir. I will wipe the floor with you.
Brilliant author. You're not really threatening, not imposing physically.
I'll destroy you in the ring.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. John Galantis would destroy J.R.R. Tolkien in a fist fight, but I would only do it to remember the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget. Oh, before we go, Ryan, before we go, the secret word for the day. The secret word for the day, Ryan, is categorical. Categorical.
Ooh, this is me, isn't it?
The secret word. Today's your secret word.
Categorical. That's okay. I feel like I can maybe work that in. That's not as outlandish as some of the ones you've thrown at me.
Yeah, no, categorical is pretty good. I'm
okay.
trying to find the definition. I mean, I feel like it pretty much speaks for itself.
Categorical.
Here's the definition right here. Categorical is a synonym of absolute and definite that describes something that is said in a very strong and clear way.
Okay. Sure.
It can also be relating to or constituting a category. Okay. So I think that's what I thought it was. All right, categorical. That's the one.
All right.
We'll see you soon. Hey, what's going on, listeners? My name is John.
And I'm Ellie.
And we just want to take a second and let you know about Dr. Shah's new book on the market right now called Can We Recover the Original Text of the New Testament? Boy, that is a long title.
True, but it's a very simple message. The original text of the New Testament is not only attainable, but there are lots of different ways that scholars go about discovering it.
There's a lot of people out there saying that the original text is lost forever, or that it's hopeless to actually try to find it, or that there's many texts of the New Testament. But alongside Dr. David Allen Black, Dr. Shah has actually compiled papers from some of the world's leading experts in textual criticism, including one written by himself on various methodologies for extracting the original text. And listen, if you're interested in textual criticism, this book is a great introduction to the field.
You can pick up your copy on Amazon, or you can buy it from our church website. That's clearviewbc.org. We're going to leave a link in the description box so you can get your copy today.
Love that. Ellie, let's hop back in.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text at 252-582-5028.
That's right, and we're here once again in the Clearview Today studio with Dr. Abadan Shah, who's a PhD in New Testament textual criticism. Dr. Shah got another $1 million for you today.
Okay.
So you get $1 million, but every time you read a book, okay, you do a lot of reading.
I do.
As a scholar and New Testament text critic, you do a lot of reading.
Okay.
You have to either not finish the book, so like not read the last chapter.
Okay.
Or if you do read the entire book, you will instantly forget everything in the book unless you fight the author.
like fist fight him?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I'll tell you what, you can box him. You can get in a boxing ring and just you can have gloves and stuff, but you don't have to win. You just have to participate.
For how long can I be in the ring?
2 rounds.
And this is
You don't have to
$1 million?
Oh yeah, $1 million.
Ew.
Or you can get out of it by just never reading the last chapter. You can just not finish the book. So here's the question: do you read when you research? Do you read the whole book, or do you read like the parts that deal with the issues that you need?
Most of my books are referential in nature.
So you don't sit there and read the whole thing.
You don't have to read them.
Bro, you're golden. You're golden.
You should be, and I was going to say, you could probably take most authors. I feel like you, like two rounds in the ring, I feel like you could,
Yeah, are text critics, are they like buff? Are there a lot of them?
No, not really.
Do you feel like they can fight?
No.
No, yeah, I can say go for it.
I think you're fine.
I mean, there are a couple of them who are bigger than I am, but as a whole, I don't think most text critics, I mean, they're like inside, like, basements.
Like their own or their mom's?
Researching.
No, at the library basements.
Oh, I got
researching,
you.
pouring over manuscripts. Like, that doesn't leave a whole lot of time for the gym.
No time for gym or no time for vitamin E.
No,
like
like
nothing.
They sneeze and it like hurts their ribs. They're like, ow.
Yeah.
So Ryan and I were talking about it. We were talking about like novels and stuff like that. Like if I got to the end of a book and I like forgot everything unless I had to fit, like I would be like, man, I just wouldn't even read anymore.
Right.
But then I started thinking about you and I was like, I don't know that when you research, you really start at chapter 1 and go all the way to like chapter 100 or whatever.
Yeah, it depends on which book it is.
Got you.
Most of my books are like festschrifts. You know, they're dedicated to some famous scholar. Mm-hmm. So the chapter 1 has nothing to do with chapter 2 or 3 or 4.
Right.
I mean, they're so independent.
Fair enough.
And many times throughout the week, I'm reading journal articles more than I'm reading a book.
Yeah. Well, you're $1 million richer.
I am. I'll take it.
All right.
Easy meal.
Great, let's do it.
The verse of the day today is coming from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4. By faith, Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, through which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and through it, he being dead still speaks.
Bro, Hebrews is deep.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where like we'll be like prepping the verse of the day, and I'm like, man, this is deep. I don't even know what to comment on it.
The blood of Abel cries out in defense of against what his brother did to him.
Yeah.
Which means what we do in this life doesn't get ignored. Mm-hmm. Every deed is accounted for.
Kind of funny how this idea of justice that we have in America today, people think that it just comes from the good nature of people's hearts. It can't possibly come from the Bible. It can't possibly come from Scripture. Because Scripture in the Bible, that's the tool of the oppressor. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
the tool of the racist, of
That's
the bigot, of the person who wants to have power and hold on to power.
Yeah.
When really the Bible speaks of justice and God's justice,
Right.
which
Well, people think
reigns
there's a
over all.
categorical difference between the justice of the Bible and the
Right.
justice offered by, the legal system or the justice system.
Right.
But when we look at biblical history and we look at American history, we see that our nation was founded upon biblical values.
That's right.
That's where we derive our sense of morality from.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I just want to go ahead and give Ryan a surprise for getting categorical by
you
Dr.
very
Shah.
much.
That was the
Oh,
secret word
categorical was the
today.
word.
Appreciate that.
We're
Okay.
getting, so we started picking some calmer words. after
Yeah.
your advice. Good job, Ryan.
I saw that one and I was like, whew, all right, I feel like
I
we
can
can
do
work
that.
categorically.
I didn't
feel like
expect
we
it
can
so
work that.
early. I didn't expect it so early.
I saw an
in the episode.
opportunity and I had to run with it.
Dr. Shah, there's a sobering reality that is going on in our nation. And I think people have been talking about this for a long time. And that is this idea that the Democrats and the Republicans are not as, how am I trying to say this?
Not as they once were. Like there was a giant shift that took place.
Yeah.
There was a great switch.
A great party switch. That's
Yeah.
Because there's this reality. Look, when you look back at it, especially the Civil War, these Jim Crow laws, I mean, really up until the Civil Rights Movement.
Right.
And people, this is by the way, I don't think people give that time span the credit it deserves. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Is that the most people, almost all the people who were supporting slavery, starting Civil War, going against abolitionists, they were Democrats.
Right.
That's a reality that I think a lot of Democrats today don't want to face.
Or they will bring up this idea that there was a great switch between the parties. So somewhere in the 50s, 60s, the switch took place where the Democrats became the Republicans and the Republicans became the Democrats. So all the prejudices and the hatred or the racism now is in the Republican Party. And the Republican Party, who were in the party of Abraham Lincoln, who fought against slavery and try to bring Reconstruction in the South, now is the party of the Democrats. And that, hey, they switched. Why are you still supporting them? So anytime somebody brings up the argument that, did you know that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican? Did you know that the Civil War was fought because there's the Republicans who were saying slavery should be abolished? And it's like, yeah, that's true. But don't you know that there was a great switch?
And as far as solutions go, like to getting all that culpability off of me, it's very simple and clean.
Yeah.
The only bugaboo, there's only one, is, and I don't know how to put this, is it true?
No.
Oh! Yeah, one second. There you go.
Yeah, it's just not true.
Didn't happen.
I believe in the current environment, we're like a day away from election day. Hopefully everybody's voting even prior to election day.
Yeah, hopefully your voting's done.
Yeah, but if you got one more day. I hope you're listening because I believe what we're about to discuss is probably the most important issue
Yeah.
I would say so.
Absolutely.
that is often either ignored or not understood or misrepresented. Name it. This here is the linchpin.
That's true.
This narrative of the great switch, the party switch that took place, is this something that is perpetuated by both Republicans and Democrats, or is this a predominantly one-sided argument?
Oh, definitely one-sided.
Okay.
Definitely
That's what I thought. I
one-sided.
just wanted to make
Definitely
sure.
one-sided. No, the Republicans would not dare say something like that.
No, because you're exactly right. Because the entire thing is predicated on racism.
Well, yeah, there's a good side and a bad side.
Right. It's something that I don't hear in conservative discourse.
Right.
That Democrats are inherently bad people, and we should not be Democrats because they're bad people.
Right.
Now, we might say they do evil things and they're bringing our country to its knees with their policies and their ideologies, but never once have I heard conservatives say they're just bad people.
Right.
And that's why we shouldn't be, they don't talk like that.
Right.
It's only them talking about conservatives
That's right.
that way.
It's an old strategy, and it has worked for them in the past several times, starting with Barry Goldwater, but it's working right now with President Trump, which is they've taken that label that rightfully is on them, which is this is the party of racists. I'm talking about Democrats.
Right.
This is a party of bigots. This is a party of those who want to keep minorities down. And they've taken that label, peeled it off, and put it on you, okay, the Republicans, and said, you are that party.
Right.
And for a long time, I believe those who are Republicans or those who are uninformed are unable to respond to that. They go, maybe that's true. I'm not one. I mean, I vote because it's about lowering taxes. It's about securing our borders. This is about healthcare. This is about all these other things, not about racism.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. But your party as a whole is racist, and many times Republicans, either because of a lack of information, lack of understanding, or whatever it is, they have walked away thinking maybe it is true. Like you said, who really says that? They may not say it, but they think maybe we are the racist party, and that is not true.
Yeah. It's one thing to say that your policies and your ideas will result in maybe racist, whatever. But to say your party is racist, which means if you align yourself with them, and if you even agree with them, you're agreeing with the racists.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think there's, and it's weird, and maybe Dr. Shah, you can talk about this. That seems to be the sticking point. It always seems to be, well, it's like for instance, I always see people go out on the street. Hey, do you like the conservatives? Do you like President Trump? No, I don't. Why? Because he's racist.
Right.
And so it's like, well, the conversation's over. I have to now
what
convince
response do you have?
that he's not. What response do I have is because I don't like him because he's racist.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to go back and begin in the beginning, okay? Which is, what is the Democrat Party? The Democrat Party, of course, as you know, prior to the election, this is the party that opposed the Republicans' effort to abolish slavery. This is the party that started the Civil War. This is the party that, after the Civil War, established the Ku Klux Klan. This is the party that did whatever they could to, oppose the Reconstruction movement. This is the party that, down into the 20th century, opposed the Civil Rights Movement. And this is that party. This is the Democrat Party. Now, what do you do with the Republican Party? This is just the opposite. This is a party that wanted to abolish slavery. This is a party whose president died in the process of fighting against slavery.
Yeah.
Right?
If I had all that stuff on me, I'd probably come up with a scheme to be like, oh no, that we switched.
Yeah, no, that wasn't us. We flip flopped.
Yeah, we took their name, and but they that was all of them.
But people point to that, like, and as a response to the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s, and say that was when the switch occurred. But that's not the case.
And even if it did, why did it take so long? Why was
Right.
why did it, for such a cataclysmic shift? Why did it suddenly happen just like that?
Great point. Because after, we're talking about in the civil rights era, right? Civil rights era is what is usually claimed as the time where there was a switch that happened. Okay? But if you notice very carefully, Democrats still held every Senate seat south of the Mason-Dixon line. And what did they want? They wanted the old Jim Crow laws to continue.
That's right.
Segregation to continue. So when people say, oh, there was a switch, and the Democrats became the party that was open to all peoples, your color doesn't matter. No, they were fighting against it. And it was a Republican president, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was against school segregation. He's the one who sent in the federalized Arkansas National Guards to Little Rock to protect those black students, 9 of them, because the Democrat governor, Orville Faubus, who threatened to keep them out.
Yep, that's true.
So did you know it was a Republican president who sent in the National Guards?
Yeah, so even by the time of the 50s, like this has been going on for, let's see, when was the Civil War over? 1860s?
Yeah, 1860.
It's almost 100 years the Democrats have been this way.
Right.
And so after 100 years, they figured, you know what, boys, maybe we don't look too good. Let's pin this on the Republicans.
Right, and Eisenhower, a Republican president who is opposing a Democrat governor and telling them, hey, I'm sending in the National Guards. Do not harass these students.
Right.
All right, we're stepping in. So how did that go from Democrats are the heroes?
Yeah,
right?
so that's what I was going to ask. How did they get 100 years worth of racist policies, racist ideas, and say, hey, boys, let's blame this on the Republicans? How did they make that happen?
Yeah.
So now you come to the era of President John F. Kennedy, who was, of course, a proponent of civil rights, and then the Southern Democrat Lyndon Johnson, he made sure that the Civil Rights Act was passed as kind of like a tribute to Kennedy, and he's the first one to propose the bill 5 months before he was killed. Democrats in the Senate, however, filibustered it.
Still at it.
Okay, Lyndon Johnson, right, pushing for this in tribute to Kennedy, and guess who filibusters
The
it?
Democrats.
The Democrats.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not saying every single Democrat was racist. No, somebody tried. By the way, Lyndon Johnson is a whole different colorful character.
Yeah.
I don't know how far you want to talk about whether he was racist or not. That's a whole different issue.
Right.
So later on, same year, June of 1964, the issue comes up again. The bill is brought back again, and it is passed in spite of
the Democrats.
Southern Democrats. Okay, 80% of House Republicans voted for it, 61% of the Democrats, while 82% of the Republicans in the Senate supported it, as compared to only 69% of the Democrats. And pretty much all the opposition in the South, right, was
Democrat. So what they would say if you brought that up to them now is they would say, well, those were in truth Republicans just using our name. So the same people, what they would say is the same people today, if those people were alive today, we would just call them Republicans, but they're the same people. That's what they would say.
Right.
I've even heard people point to like the geography of it. Like typically, when you look back, the South was predominantly Democratic, and then you look now. I mean, by in large majority, the South is predominantly Republican, with a couple of exceptions. But people will point to that as evidence of the Great Switch as well.
Right. The presidential seat, okay, with the Republicans, that was what began to change or bring the shift from Democrat president towards more and more Republican president. Why? Because the policies, whether it's policies to cut taxes or policies to reward education or capitalism, is coming more from the Republican president. Okay, that was far more appealing than the Democrat platform. And so we need to keep in mind that there is a shift that is coming more towards the Republican, but not because the Republican Party is becoming racist, is because their platform is more appealing, especially with regards to values.
Great point.
With regards to capitalism. Is the platform that is appealing.
Great point. Because I think people will hear this episode and try to oversimplify or misattribute what we're saying. So they'll say something like, are you telling us that the Republican Party is exactly the same today as it was in the 1800s and the Democrats are exactly the same? What you're saying is there have been shifts in ideologies in our country, but none of those shifts were sudden and cataclysmic, and none of them were attributed to inherent racism.
Right. And I don't think the shift was like the Republican took the Democrats' agenda.
Right.
No, there was not a switch like that. It's just that the Republicans emphasized the importance of certain values, whether it's morality, whether it's life or capitalism. That became the platform.
Right.
But that's not necessarily means that the Democrats had that platform.
But wouldn't you also say that it's evidence that there was no great switch? Because when the Republican Party was formed, the whole impetus behind abolition was biblical values.
Right.
And if you ask Republicans today, where do you get your values from? Almost all of them will say from the Bible.
Which again goes to show you that ideology has not shifted.
Right.
It is still coming from Scripture.
Right.
Right? Now, this really requires thinking on the part of the average person or the voter or the American. But people don't do that. This requires thinking.
Right.
They'd rather just tell me all the Republicans are racist, tell me all the Democrats are loving, accepting people. Okay, I'll vote.
They are.
They are. And then I'm just going to go vote for them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to vote for
It's such a
racist.
reductionist approach. And I mean, we see that over and over again, especially from people who align themselves with the Democratic Party and align themselves with people who, profess liberal values. And I feel like it's disrespectful to our nation and where we've come from.
Right.
It reduces us to simple, like, black and white, category A, category B, without acknowledging, there have been shifts that happen, but it's much more complex than just, hey, these people are racist.
Yeah, and it seems that way to get people on your side is by imposing moral virtue on them. And I never thought something so simple could actually have shifted the political landscape of our culture, but boy, it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
imagine how it almost seems like something that you would do in elementary school. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really don't want you playing with those guys. Why? Well, those guys they're jerks. They beat up cats. They eat. They
You just
eat
make up
sand.
something.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
they eat sand. They're bad people. They're bad kids. So you should just play with us instead. And
Right.
but man, you would think once you get older and you start building government and infrastructure, everything starts to sophisticate, but it really doesn't.
No,
And it worked.
Your lives just become a little more nuanced.
Yeah.
And if you want to go by history, it actually is going back to 1968, starting with Richard Nixon. That was the time where they began to take that label and put it on other people, put it on the Republicans, put it on Nixon, and said, "Now he's a racist." Now that right there person is.
Why Nixon specifically?
I mean, because he is trying to appeal to the southern states.
I got you. So
Right.
so as more and more black Americans are voting Democrat, they said that Nixon was trying to get white voters
Right.
by appealing to their racism.
Right, which is not true. It's a myth.
right.
It's known as the Southern strategy. Like, let's just appeal to racism and get all these people on my side. And they say, oh, there you go. There's a switch happening in front of you. Like someone like Hillary Clinton would definitely say something like that.
Yeah.
And there is zero evidence for that.
Didn't they do that? Who's that other senator that they were doing that to as well?
It's a Republican Barry Goldwater.
Right.
Right.
We were talking about this off mic where he actually voted. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think didn't he vote for civil rights?
That's right. And like he was one of the chapter, the founders of the local chapter for the NAACP in Arizona.
But he betrayed all his values by championing racist white voters.
Right, which is also anti-Semitic, except Barry Goldwater is Jewish.
Doesn't quite hold up your argument the same way.
Yeah, I have books by Barry Goldwater in my library.
It sure sounds good. Maybe it's like the inverse of Occam's razor, where they're just like, hey, look, if you just call them racist, I promise people won't vote
Yeah,
for them.
just keep adding stuff until it's true.
Yeah.
Man, isn't that what's happening right now?
Yes.
Just call someone racist and then pretty much conversation over. I can't vote for you. You're racist.
Yeah, there's actually a movie out right now that Am I Racist movie that Matt Walsh did, which is just that question where even white people, like white voters, that because they hold biblical values, like you said earlier, Dr. Shah, they're actually questioning, maybe I am. You keep hearing it over and over and over.
Yeah.
Funny thing, they tied Barry Goldwater to the KKK.
Wow. Wow.
One of the KKK's agenda. Okay, by the way, it's a democratic organization, but its KKK's agenda is anti-Jewish people.
And Barry Goldwater's Jewish. They were like, he's supposed to.
He just like goes out, I'm going to start an organization that's not going to like me.
Makes sense to me.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Dr. Shaw, we got a few minutes left, but do you want to maybe you can comment on this, because I don't know if you find it noteworthy or not that racism, which is abstract and kind of complicated and kind of uncomfortable to talk about, seems to be at the heart of politics. It's a moral thing at the heart of political discourse.
Especially in America, because of the history of our country,
Yeah.
because of the past, because of slavery. Let's just talk about that. Because of Civil War. The moment you bring out this label with those words, racist, and you put it on somebody, it changes the dynamics
Right.
of that conversation. It changes the dynamics of the election. And this is a strategy that has been used and used very effectively for such a long time. I mean, right here we're talking about Barry Goldwater, a Jewish man, now is part of the has connections to the KKK.
Right.
They're like, huh? A man goes out there and founds the chapter for NAACP. Not necessarily, I would say, is a great organization now. I mean, there are a lot of things that we're not quite sure what's happening, but definitely worthy at one time, right? And now it is looked upon as, man, this guy right here is racist. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
They wanted to tank their reputations, and the quickest, most effective way to do that was to label them racist.
Right. And this is what I think is happening and continues to happen. So it's a myth. It's the myth of the Great Switch. And all you have to do is study a little bit of history. If it was a switch, every local state seat should have been switched to Republican. And it did not switch to Republican
Right.
Party.
And it shouldn't have taken 40, 50 years for that to happen.
Right. Okay, why is just the presidential, like with Nixon or with Ronald Reagan, a Republican, but local seats were always Democrat. So up until recent years, I mean, that's when you see even local began to shift. And I think it's because of the climate, where people realize all this racism, all this segregationism is not good. And at that point, even the local and state seats slowly began to shift towards the Republican side. Hasn't completely, because there's still people voting Democrat,
Right.
thinking, I am the good party. I am part of the nice people.
Right.
We are the party for all people. And that's never been the case. In fact, all you have to do is look at the evidence right now. Which is the party that supported anti-Semitism in just 2023 into 2024?
I mean, it's the Democratic Party.
What's changed over the past 150 years? Nothing.
at all.
Nothing.
Right? What is a party that is still keeping African Americans down and saying, hey, just vote for us and we will take care of you?
Yeah.
We're the Democratic.
Democrat Party. And it still is.
Yeah.
So I wish we had like 2 more hours to
I know.
go through every one of these details and talk about how people are being used. And that's why someone like me comes along who is an Indian, right? Like from India, but is an American citizen and says this, they go, why are you supporting them? You should be supporting this party because this party is for immigrants and this part, like, that's not true, bro.
No, it's
that's not true.
100%.
You bought into the lie.
What about all the border being opened up and everything? Do you really think that's good for immigrants? That's not good for immigrants. I mean, talk about the immigrant community, and they'll tell you some of the people who were killed with violence are part of that immigrant community. Who were killed by those who were violent criminals coming from this southern borders. And they became victims of this. So anyways, the whole point is this. We have to challenge this myth.
That's right. Yeah, there's you can look at phenomena that happen in the country, like Republicans gaining strength in the South, and you can do this historical analysis like Dr. Shah you've done, and so many other scholars have done that are unfortunately being silenced. And you can say, well, maybe there was electoral shifts, and maybe there was actual things happening, or you could say, no, I think it's just because the racists took our name.
Yeah.
And but you know what's sad is so many people actually they're like, hey, you know what? The simplest explanation, I'll take
And
it.
it's very, very, very hard to convince people because they you can have all the discussion, then they go right back to what has been kind of brainwashed.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's brainwashed.
Yeah,
People
just
are almost
think-
programmed to believe one way or another.
Why would I support a party that is obviously racist?
True. And
If
that's-
I really believe this.
That'll show you
If I
the
didn't
power.
believe this.
That shows you the power of a very simple lie.
Yeah.
Because I think it, like you said, Dr. Shah, it's ingrained in people's minds. It's ingrained in their psyches.
But it also shows the importance of what we're doing here today. And Dr. Shah, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through this because it's important for us, especially right here at Election Day, that you understand the lies that are being perpetuated in our country, and you understand what it's going to take to get our country back on the right track. It's going to take people going out and voting biblical values and understanding that just because someone who gets up on a platform and is polished and stands in front of a camera tells you something, that doesn't mean it's the truth. You're going to have to go do your research. And, one of those sources that you can turn to for an accurate take and turn into the truth of Scripture is the Clearview Today Show.
That's right. And another resource you can get is Dr. Shah and Nicole's book, 30 Days Praying for America. Those are daily devotions to help heal our nation. There it is. Very nice looking book. You can get it on Amazon today, as well as our debut worship album, Heaven, Here, and Now. It's available on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your digital music from.
That's right. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Write in and let us know what you got from today. 252-582-5028. Or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Don't forget you can partner with us financially on that same website. Scroll to the bottom, click that donate button, and let us know it's coming from our Clearview Today Show family. And to all of our friends and listeners out there, make sure you go out and vote. It is your responsibility as a citizen of our great nation, and we look forward to what this vote is going to do for our country.
He's right.
Make sure you guys tune in. We got great content planned for you for the rest of the week. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.